Hello, hello. It is Monday, which means it is If You Only Knew Facebook Live Day. And I am exceptionally excited to be here in the office with Executive Director of Albion Fellows Bacon Center, Kristie Byrns. Thank you so much for being my guest today. Welcome, welcome her. So we were talking about how long this was going to last, and I was like, well, I got some things to say. But I had known about Albion for a long time. I knew the former executive director, Candace, and we actually grew up together. She's awesome. She's amazing. And but back in January of 2010, I showed up on my parents' doorstep and said, I'm ready. And as most people who follow me and watch and know, I was in a 15-year abusive marriage, a 17-year relationship in total. And in 2010, I came to them and I said, I'm ready. And so my dad drove me to Albion, and we sat down with an advocate, and she walked me through an exit plan and told me what I needed to do, what I needed to take, what to expect after I left, and which was critical. Yeah. Which was critical in knowing what to expect, because so many times people get asked, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? And when you leave is the most volatile, dangerous time. So her walking me through what to expect. And then she helped me fill out the paperwork for a protective order, and walked me through the process of where I needed to go and how I needed to get that turned in, and then what that was going to mean from that point on for me also. So, you know, Albion is very precious to me because it helped me through a very difficult time. And so since that time, I have been very involved with Albion and being an advocate. And also, whenever I was approached about starting a task force or restarting a task force for Warwick County for domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. They asked me if I wanted, I approached them about being a part of it, and they said, well, we really don't have one that's up and running right now. Would you like to chair it? And I was like, I don't know anything about chairing a task force. And I was like, well, let me make a few phone calls because I might be able to get some help. And I called you, and I said, I don't know about running a task force, but could you help me? And you said Albion can help. And so Albion stepped in and is co-chairing the task force for Warwick County. So that's the background. I'm going to let her talk here in a moment, but that's the background with my love and appreciation for Albion Fellows Bacon Center and the work that you do. So thank you. I just am glad I get to personally and publicly thank you for all that you've done for me and so many others.
That's what makes my job so awesome, is to hear people who have, realized that they're ready to get the help, sought it out, and that we were able to be a part of that journey to help you get to where you are today. And so that's why I love the work that I do. And you're a great example of the fact that so many people know Albion for our shelter,
yes,
but don't know about all the other services that we have available. And, we have the most amazing team of people doing this work every single day. I'm here doing what I need to do, but they're the ones on the front lines every single day. They're getting up at 3 a.m. to go to the hospital for a crisis call, or they're taking people into our shelter any time of day, 24/7, 365 days a year. Our services are here.
Yes.
And so I can never give enough credit to the team of people that we have, and the volunteers, the staff that gives just so much of their time and energy, and just so very precious. So,
well, I would like to take this opportunity then to let you explain more about, because I do think that people think as when they hear Albion, they think shelter.
Yeah.
And I didn't need a shelter. Right. I had my family and I was able to go stay with them. And so it's so much more beyond a shelter. So I would love for you to explain some of the other services that you all provide.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, shelter, very important piece of who we are and how we serve. Temporary emergency shelter for those fleeing violence. We are a service provider for both domestic and sexual violence, and that also includes stalking and human trafficking. And all of our advocates in our, what we call non-residential program, those advocates who work with clients that maybe don't need shelter or have transitioned from shelter. They are duly trained, so they provide services to both domestic and sexual violence victims. We are a designated rape crisis center, the only one in Southern Indiana. With that being the case, we provide, like I said, 24/7 crisis response. So if someone's been victimized and is at the hospital, hospitals might call us. Our advocates will be dispatched out to be that emotional support for that individual who's just experienced something so very difficult. We also provide them one-on-one advocacy, legal advocacy, as you mentioned. We provide support groups. We have a domestic violence support group and then a closed sexual assault support group. So those individuals will go through a process to get into that. We also provide services, like I said, for victims of stalking and human trafficking. So we're going to walk with somebody through the process, where they are at, what they need, without judgment. You know, we have clients who decide that for them, it's going to be ideal for them at that time to stay, but let's figure out a safety plan. Let's work with them to make sure that, as you mentioned, if they are going to leave, we have that safety plan in place. And so that's what our advocates are doing on a regular basis. They're really working with that individual to figure out where they're at, what they need, and how can we assist them in their journey. It's not about us doing anything for them. It's about where they're at and what do they need from us. We also then refer out to our partner agencies. We're not a therapeutic counseling agency, so we'll refer out for something of that nature. And then we have primary prevention, because we want to see this eliminated. It's part of our mission to prevent domestic and sexual violence. And so with that, we go into the schools, we work with our youth, we have an evidence-based curriculum in that.
Wonderful. That's so wonderful.
So there's so many elements to who we are, how we serve. You mentioned the task force. We have several of those. We sit on the SART, Team Sexual Assault Review, and the SANG nurses. We help that, the sexual assault nurse examiners. Provide training for new law enforcement recruits. And so we really try to wrap our services around our community and all of those who need us.
Yeah. You guys do so much.
Yes, we do.
Once you really get in and you start seeing and knowing and understanding what all Albion does for our community, and it's not, when we say tri-state area, you service what, 11
counties in Southern Indiana.
11 counties. And so, which I assume could probably be overwhelming at times too.
Definitely, absolutely.
And so a very good place to put your resources, because servicing 11 counties, I'm sure you are always in need of financial assistance.
There's always things, absolutely, always resources that we need in our organization to provide the services that we do. And we have that listed on our website, opportunities to give, our needs list. So it's all out there on our website.
Yes. And so I encourage you, whenever you get off this Facebook Live, to go like Albion Fellows Bacon Center, their Facebook page, because they are always has a wealth of information, and you can, they're always posting like how you can help and what they need today. And so it's a very great resource. So now into the interview, the questions. So I was talking about the two questions. The first question I have people ask is, in regards to relationships, if you could go back and be your own best friend, because I think most people who are in an abusive situation, or at least at the minimum an unhealthy or toxic relationship, they're so in it that they can't see.
Sure.
But if their best friend was telling them these things that was happening with them, their best friend would be like, girlfriend, you need to get out. You need to stop doing, you need to not put up with that. But we're not our own best friend. So if you could go back, and this is for you personally, this isn't as the executive director of Albion Fellows Bacon Center or what, her expertise dealing with other people.
Right.
With herself, if she could go back and be her own best friend, Kristie, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I do want to make sure everybody understands that I am speaking on behalf of Kristie now, not on behalf of Albion. But I think about that, and I think about what I tell my 12-year-old niece. You have to be your own best friend. Yes. You are the only person in your life that you're never going to be away from. You spend 24/7, even sleeping hours, with yourself. So examine, what are you saying to yourself about yourself? How many times do we degrade ourselves, and even what we might think are just simple things like, oh, that was stupid, or oh, I look so fat, or am I really worth that? Like, eliminate that from your vocabulary. And that's what I had to learn. I had to learn that for myself, because I was extremely insecure. And those insecurities led me down some paths I shouldn't have gone down. And when you're in that, it's so very difficult to realize that there's other options. And if you are at the source telling yourself that you're not worthy, that you aren't valuable, that you don't matter, then it's going to be so very easy for someone else to reiterate that for you.
Yes.
You have to be your own best friend. Stand up for yourself, believe in who you are, but watch how you're talking to yourself.
Yes.
It can just start as just that simple. My grandmother, who I adored, I can remember growing up, never hearing her say one bad thing about herself.
Ooh.
And if I got to that age and had somebody say that about me, that would feel like such a success in my life, because I got to witness someone. I never heard her talk about how big her hips were, or never did I hear her degrade herself. She would laugh and joke, but never. And so that was an example for me to look at and say, you know what? Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah. And that's impactful.
It is.
I mean, obviously it made an impact on you.
Yes.
Where you consciously thought, maybe whenever you can tell me when, but maybe you were in a moment where you were saying something degrading to yourself, and you thought, you know what? I've never heard my grandma say anything.
Right. And it wasn't until my mid to late 20s that I had this kind of understanding and revelation that, you should really think about how you're talking about. Like, I wouldn't say some of the things that I'm saying to and about myself, about my best friend or my family.
Yeah.
Why would I do that to me?
Yeah.
Why do I want to treat myself this way? So I had to learn to reprogram that. We are bombarded all the time, especially as women, with messages telling us we're not enough, that we have to get our worth and value in external things or other people.
Yes.
And that is so debilitating when you get stuck in that all the time, just all the time thinking that you are here to please other people.
Yeah.
There's a component of, you want to do good, you want to do those things, but that's not why I exist.
Right.
I don't exist just to satisfy everyone else. And also, you can't give away what you don't have. If you don't have that kind of respect and love and appreciation for who you are, how can you truly give that out? So that has been most impactful for me. And that's what I tell my niece. So that's what I would tell my younger self as a best friend. Be your own best friend. Advocate for yourself. Know your worth and value, and never, ever, ever let anyone or anything deter you from that.
Yes. One of the exercises, that just made me think about, one of the exercises that I do with my clients, whenever coaching clients, and I have them, talk about some of this negative self-talk, the things that they say to themselves about themselves. And so then I have them write those things out. And then I say, okay, look me in the eye and say those things to me. And they're like, no, I'm not going to say that to you. And I was like, well, why not? You say it to yourself all the time. Why would you not look me in the face and say those things to me?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, because I wouldn't say that to you. And I was like, well, then you don't need to say it to yourself.
Absolutely.
If you wouldn't say it to someone else, then it's not okay to say it to yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, we could unpack this for a long. Okay, we'll see you an hour later. I hope you have a long lunch break. All right, so, but we are going to move on to the second question. There is so much we could go into on that, but that was a lot of valuable information, valuable wisdom. So then the second question is, I believe that in that healing process of discovering who you are, and especially if you have come out of a toxic or abusive relationship, I just find it really hard to believe that there isn't a spiritual component, you know, in healing, and I would hope that people would dive into, in that healing process, what does God say about me, and who does God say I am? And so on that note, what is a truth that you feel God has revealed to you about yourself?
Right. So first, I got to say, for me personally, again, speaking for Kristie, not for Albion, my faith and my relationship with God is the core of where I am today. Without that, I would not be who I am today. I grew up in a very difficult childhood environment, very high, if you understand ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, very high on that scale. And so you have to build resiliency to overcome that. That foundation for me was my faith, and it still is every single day. I couldn't do the work I do if it weren't for the faith that I have. And so with that being said, what I had to learn and grasp, and it sounds so basic, but it was the fundamental thing, is that I am loved. I am loved. And so with that love comes a value that I never appreciated about myself. So what I learned from God was that I matter, I'm valuable, and He loves me. And for me and my faith, and because I'm a Christian, that means that I'm loved so much that Jesus died for me. Whether it would have been anybody else, He died for me. And so for me to realize that I'm that valuable, and again, this is just my personal faith. Others might have other things that's what matters to them, but for me, that was what it is. And so I couldn't do, like I said, I couldn't do any of the work I do today if it weren't for that fundamental piece of I matter, I'm valuable, and most importantly, I'm loved.
You are loved. You are loved because God is love. That is, yes. And you know, whenever you said that, I mean, I just get tears in my eyes thinking that, you know, that Christ came, if you were the only one, or if I was the only one, He would have gone through everything that He went through for you, and just for you, or just for me. And if people can really, I mean, I don't know if you can ever truly wrap your head around and your heart around what that means. But if you can just get a glimpse of the love that God has for you, it changes your life, and you're just never the same. And you know, as a Christian life coach, people are like, well, why are you say you're a Christian life coach? Why not just a life coach? And for me, first of all, I can imagine doing life without my faith. I just can't. And I can't, and with the coaching process of guiding people through really taking back their power and control, especially those that have been in abusive relationships, it's all about power and control. So teaching people to take back that power and control, in my opinion, is firmly rooted in who does God say you are. And I just don't know how you move forward and how you take your power and your control and create your life without knowing who God says you are. That's just my opinion on that.
And again, this is just my personal.
This is her personal opinion, not representing.
Because we have people from all walks of life who use our services, and all of that is just as important for them. But for me and my foundation, there's nothing else that matters more to me than that. And so.
Amen. Amen. We're going to seal it with an amen. And you know what? I feel like we could go.
I have church.
We could go. We could have church. We could go on forever. But I want to be respectful of your time, and I want to be respectful of the time of those watching. And I just encourage you to share this with someone. I know there are so many people out there who need to hear this message. And so please hit the share button. and send it on to for others to hear. And that if you do need the resources that Albion Fellows Bacon Center provides, please do not hesitate to reach out, because they are here 24/7 waiting to provide service for you. So as I always tell you and want you to know that God loves you, and know that I love you, and you have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.